Hello and welcome everybody to Formula GT Season 7 Round 9. The season finale is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. It is that time. We got one more race to figure everything out. There's still a Drivers' Championship on the line between Whiteout and Gomez. 7 points between the two. Gomez can still clinch the championship if he finishes one position ahead. Or, I'm sorry, if he finishes with 8 points or more ahead of Whiteout. The team's championship was decided last time out at Watkins Glen, with XO High Caliber taking the championship for the teams. And we got an amazing race ahead of us. We were at the Autodromo de Interlagos. It is a 2.67 mile round circuit, or 4.3 kilometers. 15 turns, and it is a mid-speed track with the balance of performance. And yeah, I think we have an amazing race in store. You love to see a close championship coming down to the wire, and this is going to be a showdown between Gomez, and it's going to be a showdown with Whiteout. It's going to be a showdown between those two very talented drivers, and I think we're going to have an absolute barnstormer here today. Good evening, J-Mac. Thank you for popping in chat. Hopefully we'll see you race today. And yeah, I mean, it's the end of the season, and honestly, from the heart of the commentator, it has been an absolute blast commentating these last 8 races for you guys, and now coming up to race number 9. Really excited to see how this final race plays out, and I'm all the more excited for the official beginning of Season 8. Which we'll have a schedule out soon. I don't know when, but we'll have a schedule in due time. We have only one driver currently in the lobby. We have Matt from Scuderia Racing Force. Unfortunately, due to some post-race penalties from the last race out, he will have a 2-second penalty applied to his qualifying time. So 2 seconds will be added to his fastest lap, which will arguably might drop him a place or two. It is unfortunate, but it was for impeding on B23 last time out. Unfortunate stuff, but it happened. It does happen from time to time. But hopefully we'll have clean racing, no major penalties for today. And yeah, we'll just go ahead and see how everything goes. Speaking of B23, B23 is also now in the lobby. The Sohei Racing driver making his appearance in Interlagos. And yeah, we got a solid championship lined up, and yeah, I'm gonna take a look at the team standings real quick on my end, and we'll see if there's any team The biggest team challenge I can see right now is between Project Zero and IHR. There's only 3 points between them. So the battle for 4th in the constructors is still on, but I do believe every other place is already set in stone. Have a lot of other drivers going ahead and popping in. Whiteout, the current championship leader, is here. And then Gothboy, the other Sohei Racing driver, is here as well. Best commentary team of all time. You'll see us again in GPL. I believe GPL begins actually relatively soon, so you can check us out there as well. We'll go on track with some of the cars, and we see Matt actually running a plain liveried vehicle. Interesting to see him not running the usual livery for the Scuderia Racing Force. Whiteout is running a new livery as well. We'll check it out once he gets out of the pits. Interesting livery choice. Some of these drivers are... It's an interesting message on the side of Whiteout. On the side of Whiteout's machine. I've seen Matt running a plain livery vehicle, so we'll definitely see some interesting liveries for this race here today. I'm seeing a pattern with a lot of these drivers running a very similar livery. As we see Declan Spillane also popping in. Wow, they are all running this exact same livery. It's gonna be tricky to tell these cars apart. Yeah. Okay, that's gonna be interesting. So a lot of drivers are clearly on the same mindset with their regards with the current management of Formula GT. We'll go ahead and focus on the on-track action. C-Chan does have a 3-second penalty for track limits or crossing the pit line. It's pretty common on this track because this track is it does have a very tricky pit lane to exit out of, especially because it goes immediately to a very heavy elevation change corner. So, although it's good to get these out during practice, just because, I mean, in practice the penalties don't really apply to much. So we'll go ahead and see how the rest of this race plays out. They still have the team logo, so the cars will still be identifiable, but we're going to see a lot of white cars on the grid this time out. Now, white is a good color, but it is the same shame that some of the really talented liveries that we have seen throughout the season are not present here today. We have B23 and Gothboy, the Soleil Racing driver, still sitting in the pits. Artura is here. He missed the last few rounds, I believe, so it's good to see him back with the Red Bull Adidas squad. A little bit of connectivity there. So it's the final race of Interlagos, and I do not see the other championship challenger here yet, although it might be just a few issues with joining the lobby. Actually, while we focus on his teammates, I'll go ahead and take a look and see. Okay, I don't see anything about a lobby join issue, at least not yet. I'm sure I'll get a message if that is the case. But as it stands right now, as long as, actually, regardless of what happens, even if Whiteout doesn't finish the race here, Whiteout will become Season 7 Drivers Champion, and it'll be a clean sweep for the EXO High Caliber Racing Squad. They will finish. They'll take both the drivers and the team's championships, and I believe this is the 3rd or 4th time that they've done that. Someone in chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but there is still a championship up for grabs. Gomez can still take the title if he wins and takes 8 points or more out of Whiteout's lead, because there's 7 points between them, and on the basis of who won more races, that would obviously be Whiteout, because Gomez has yet to win a race this season. It's pretty much been the Viper and Whiteout show for this entire season. So, on that precedent, Gomez would have to score 8 points higher than Whiteout to go ahead and secure the championship. But as long as Whiteout finishes within 7 points of Gomez, then it's going to be a wrap. It's going to be Whiteout will be champion of the world in Season 7. And he's had a really good season. He's won a good chunk of the races that he has participated in. We'll actually go ahead and pull up the official stats to see how many race wins he exactly has over the season. He has a total of 5 race wins. He has won every single race with the exception of Spain, Austria, and Watkins Glen, which was won by his teammate Lujan last time out in the state of New York. Yuki's here in the Project Zero car. He will have a half-second penalty, and we've seen him be very rapid. He's actually a very talented driver who's got a lot going for him coming up into future seasons, and I cannot wait to see what this driver does. Taking a look at some of Yuki's stats as we're on board with him, he does have a podium finish in Germany when we raced at the Nürburgring on the GP layout. So we know this driver has speed. He is one of the reserve drivers for Project Zero, and I believe he's the team owner of that team as well. So, and Gomez is indeed here, so we will have a championship race on our hands going into it. So good to see that we at least have a championship battle up for grabs here today. As we take a look at his teammate who's currently on track, we have a few cars sitting in the pits. I'm glad we have these extra usernames because I would not be able to tell these liveries apart. So Declan has went ahead and left. I do hope to see him in a full-time seat next season. I have seen Declan raced in other series, and Declan is a very talented driver from the Exos Motorsports umbrella. And we've seen him put in some very good performances. And now it's time to just get ready for the race. So if you guys are unfamiliar with how Formula GT operates, well, first off, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. You picked a pretty good time to join in. It is the season finale. And we still have a Drivers' Championship up for grabs. But here's how things are going to operate. We have a 30-minute practice session ranging from 12:30 to 1300. And then we go into a 10-minute qualifying session. And then we take a little 5-minute break in between the qualifying and the feature race. And then we go ahead and race. For this race here today, we have 32 laps of Interlagos. And that will definitely be a lot of fun. Interlagos is a very fun track, a lot of good overtaking opportunities. And I do think we're going to have a really, really spicy race on our hands here today. And another thing to note too is that anything that happens in practice will pretty much stay in practice, so there will be no penalties, there will be no damage, there will be whatever's in practice stays in practice. Practice is here to let the drivers get a feel for the track and see how they'll fare on the track to get warmed up. I know these drivers have spent countless hours practicing, and we can see the fruits of their efforts here every time they race. Let's see if anyone other cars on track. Alright, we'll focus on the championship leader for now. And you can use any of the two compounds that we allow for the current season, which is the Racing Medium and the Racing Soft Tire compound. We don't use the Racing Hard here in Formula GT, and we haven't had any races in the wet weather, so we're not going to see any wet or intermediate tires. You can run those. It's not illegal to run them, but your pace is going to be super far off. And if you're kind of new to Gran Turismo in general and just want to learn a little bit of how the tires work and what's the difference between the medium and the soft compound tire, I will be happy to tell you. The main difference between the medium and the soft compound tire is that the medium tire, it has less grip than the soft, but it's got a better tire life. So it's going to be the tire used mostly for practice and for having longer stints in the race. Now, drivers have to use both that and the soft tire compound. The soft tire compound is going to be better off for qualifying because it is the grippier tire, and you really only need a perfect one-lap pace to go ahead and get yourself pole position, which means you'll start the race from the front of the grid. So that is definitely the aim of drivers coming to qualify. Although Matt does have a 2-second post-race or qualifying penalty, so we'll take it as fast as I'm from qualifying and drop him 2 seconds because of how many places that drops him. Unless he is in last, then it's not going to affect anything. It is unfortunate, and honestly, post-race penalties are not fun, but it's just part of the sport. A necessary evil, unfortunately. We'll take a look at some of the new cars, and Crunders is actually running a new livery for IHR. The IHR team, they're in a team battle of their own between them and Project Zero for P4 in the team's championship. About 3 points separates the two. So that will be another big battle coming into today in the last race of Season 7. And I think we're in for a good race. Maybe tricky to tell some of the cars apart because a lot of them are running that white livery. But I do think we will still have very good on-track action. And they'll have name tags above them, so you'll still be able to tell who is driving what car. We'll go ahead and take a look at Venomous Venom. He's also running one of those white liveries as well. So I think the only drivers that are not running that whited out livery are both Crunders and I believe Pixel or Yuki are the only drivers not running. And then Matt, I think Matt's running just a plain livery. Oh no, he's got the white livery too. So a lot of these drivers are running that white livery with the exception of 2 drivers. So very, very interesting to see. So we'll just go ahead and just take a look. Let's see, we got about 15 minutes left of practice session, and then we'll go ahead and jump into our 10 minutes of qualifying. then a 5-minute break, and then there's 32 laps here around this amazing circuit in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fun track. A great track to end off the season. It would be even a bit more enjoyable if we had rain as well, but rain was not on the calendar, so it's not like we could just throw it at a driver. But maybe next season. Maybe for Season 8. As we go ahead and come back with the last remaining Deadeye Racing driver. Now Venomous Venom is a driver who's associated with a team called Karma, but Karma was not in for the full season, so he was on loan to Deadeye Racing. Karma GT is a team that is they're scheduled to participate next season, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that team. I know them pretty well, and I think that, especially Venomous Venom is a talented driver. He's had some pretty solid races here, and every single race so far, he has finished higher than he qualified. So while he's not necessarily a qualifying merchant, he is a merchant when it comes to the feature race itself. The American rookie joining us initially in Monza. Now currently on top of the timing table, we have C-Chan, but that is because Whiteout is in the pits. And we are down to the last few minutes of qualifying, about a good 12 minutes. I'm going to check and make sure we don't have any issues with drivers not able to join the lobby. Yeah, just checking, make sure there's no join issues. We have had those in the past. And particularly with Gomez, unfortunately, just due to servers and a lot of technical problems outside of our control, it does tend to happen where we do have connection problems. I mean, if we look back at Monza, my whole game crashed. So unfortunately, like every other game, Gran Turismo is not safe from system crashes. Hopefully we don't have any here today, because this race in Interlagos is shaping up to be an astounding race. So while Declan is on top of the timetable, he is not going to be able to race. Same with Vicious, because they're both third drivers for an existing team. So unfortunately, although I would like to see them race next season, they will unfortunately be getting the boot. Now I have heard rumors that there are going to be a few new teams joining us next season, so I'll be curious to see how they perform in Season 8, especially with the possible return of sprint races. So I think Season 8 is going to be a season you guys will want to stick around and watch. So yeah, you guys should follow us here on Twitch, and if you want to go rewatch this whole entire stream later, the VOD will be uploaded to YouTube on our YouTube channel, also linked in our Twitch. It'll be uploaded the same day. Usually within about an hour or two of the stream finishing, the full race VOD is up on Twitch, or I mean on YouTube, sorry, for everyone to see. You can still watch it here on Twitch, but it'll only remain here on Twitch for about 7 days before it goes off into the ether. Just Twitch doing Twitch things, I suppose. And yeah, we got a fantastic race here lined up, so you definitely do not want to miss it. You know, something actually just hit me. It is ironic seeing Whiteout in an all-white car. If Whiteout makes his own team, he should just call it Whiteout Racing and the whole livery is just white. No decals, nothing else, just plain white. I think that would be extremely funny. The name correlation, it would check out great. Alright, we are down to the about last 10 minutes of qualifying, or sorry, practice. We'll check in. Declan is currently on top of the existing timetable, but he is not a racer that is racing this time out, so we will have to unfortunately give him the boot after qualifying. Same with, I saw Vicious was here earlier. I do believe, I haven't seen Vicious race, but I do know that Declan is a very rapid driver, so can't wait to see if he'll come to Formula GT. I know I believe he's in GPL next season, or this coming season. Which GPL season is coming up very soon. They're good friends of ours, so you should definitely go check them out. Grand Prestige League. A lot of the drivers here, if you like a lot of the drivers here, then the drivers will also be racing over there as well, so you won't miss a whole lot of action. But for now, stick around because Interlagos is gonna be great. It is gonna be a fun race. Championship battle for P4 in the constructors and then P1 in the drivers championship. Only 2 drivers left eligible for that title, being Fernando Gomez and Whiteout. And honestly, I am really excited to see these two go wheel to wheel once again. They both race hard. They're both very, very talented drivers. And I just cannot wait to see what's going to happen coming up through the next few minutes. And then we got qualifying in about 8 minutes now, roughly. We'll go, let's see, what's just going on? Venomous Venom is posing for a photography session. Unfortunately, Venomous Venom, I'm pretty sure that's not allowed on track. Gomez, yeah, Gomez has had some really solid consistency. Brought in chat. He was P3 for a good chunk of the races here. I'll go back and pull up the stats on my end. Checking out Gomez. Yeah, Gomez has had 6 podium finishes. Had a podium in all but 2 races, being the race in Germany and the race in Italy. So, yeah, Gomez has had some extreme consistency, and that consistency is why he's in the championship fight. And he brought it all the way to the end here with the last race in Interlagos. Very solid stuff there from the Mexican driver. And honestly, all these drivers deserve a round of applause. These drivers have driven their hearts out. Some drivers joining in mid-season and making an impression. Everyone is teammates today. Seeing everyone in this same livery, it's interesting to see all these drivers with the same livery. I mean, I know a lot of these drivers have one mind at times when it comes to racing, and we all love racing, so seeing you guys unified is pretty neat, but I do wish we still had that livery variety, at least for this race. But we're still balling. We're still gonna have a good race regardless of the liveries. We can have all plain default liveries on the SF24, and I know, or SF23, and I know that these drivers are gonna have an absolute ball on this track. Like I mentioned, Interlagos is a very fun track to race on. Honestly, one of my favorites, even though it's a track I kind of suck at. It's still one of my favorite tracks. And when I saw that this track was on the calendar as the season finale, I knew that there's not many tracks that can equal the intense wheel-to-wheel racing that Interlagos provides. Commentary on max difficulty. Yeah, it's a bit trickier with these liveries being all the same. It is throwing me off with some of these cars. But regardless, we are down to the last few minutes before we get started with the actual race. So, who do you guys think is going to take the championship? Is it going to be Whiteout or is it going to be Gomez? Who do you guys think is going to take the crown for Season 7 of Formula GT? It's going to be a tough one, but I do think that with Whiteout's overall consistency when it comes to his racecraft and just how dominant he's been in the last few races, it's going to be a tall order for Gomez to go ahead and climb up the ranks to get that P1, but anything's possible in racing, so we will go ahead and see where it plays out. The wind is about 14.3 feet per second, so these cars are very lightweight, very aerodynamic, so they are affected by the wind. So if some of these drivers aren't too careful, the wind can blow them right off track. Can't bet against Whiteout. That is very true. So far, almost every time we've tried to bet against Whiteout, he just comes out on top. He is immune to the commentator's curse. Trust me, I'm sure many people have tried. I don't want to bring a commentator's curse upon anyone just because that's not fun. But so far, Whiteout has been immune to the commentator's curse. You know, maybe that's his secret to being so rapid. He's just immune to the commentator's curse. Maybe. The theory's still out. We'll get Mythbusters to do an episode on it or something. We'll figure something out, how to prove that theory. We'll go ahead and check in on our other championship rival, Gomez, as he is continuing to lap around the track. I am still super glad for these nameplates. Gomez has a chance here. He could win at which would be essentially his home track. It's the closest track to Mexico in Gran Turismo, although I would love to see the Mexican Grand Prix come into this game. Honestly, Polyphony, please. We need more tracks. We need more bangers. I've heard about the Circuit of the Americas being data mined and stuff. I know there's some good tracks that we could race on. And hey, maybe we'll see some more of those Gran Turismo original tracks for the next season of Formula GT. We'll just go ahead and have to see. We'll check in on... Yuki has also went ahead and joined the white livery gang. Excuse me. Sorry, yeah, Monster went down the wrong pipe. Not a great feeling. I don't recommend it. As you see another comment in chat. This is going to be insane. Indeed, Interlagos has always brought in some very ridiculous racing. I mean, look at Interlagos 2024 and 2023 in Formula 1. Those races were nothing but action, especially when the weather gets involved. Now, we won't have any weather shenanigans today, but I still think that even without the weather shenanigans, we're going to have an excellent race here today. I do think that these drivers are going to give it their all, particularly Gomez and Whiteout. They're both going to drive their absolute hearts out, especially with that title on the line. And then IHR and Project Zero, their drivers are also going to drive their all, give it their all, for that P4 in the championship. Just for that little bit of extra bragging rights, because they are so close. All the other championship spots up and down the grid are pretty much locked out. The Drivers' Championship is down to just 2 remaining drivers. Yeah, so it'll be curious to see about the livery situation. But we have more interesting things on track here at the moment. And yeah, what's really going to be interesting is qualifying. Now, like Oracular, I am terribly sorry if I butcher that. Actually, we have qualifying in a minute, so let me go ahead and let the drivers know. Actually, I'm going to wait just a smidge until it officially hits 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 1300 in Gran Turismo time. Wishing all the drivers the best. Good luck, have fun, and make it count. Because we're soon about to go live for the last qualifying session of Formula GT season number 7. And it is go time! Okay. Alright, so I've actually just been noted that Declan is actually racing as a substitute today for one of the drivers in Project Zero. I'm gonna have to go ahead and add that to my score sheet, just so it's no confusion later on. So it will take an extra minute, but I do think we will be going underway very, very shortly. Just gonna key that in real quick. Alright, so now we're gonna get started with qualifying. The final qualifying session here for Formula GT Season 7 is underway. Place your bets on who's gonna get that pole position out. I know Whiteout will be the favorite, but anything can happen here in Formula GT. Anything can happen at all when it comes to racing. Alright, we got 12 drivers that are going to be going ahead and competing in qualifying today. So, once these drivers get out on track, we'll go ahead and get on board as we see the first car getting on board now. It is Whiteout, the current championship leader. And we'll see how qualifying goes. 10 minutes of qualifying, so plenty of time to do some outlaps. And unofficially, the qualifying goes for about 13 minutes because there is a 2-minute buffer just to let the drivers finish their outlap after There was an issue with that during, I believe it was Spa. A lot of drivers couldn't finish their outlaps in time when they're trying to set a fast final lap, due to Spa being the longest track we have on the calendar. About 7 kilometers if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we got a very interesting qualifying session here. And Venomous Venom is back into the room. I wonder what happened, although he will have to start. He will start from the back of the grid. We will have to cancel qualifying once it's done anyway. And then because we have to, first we have to apply the penalty to Matt, unfortunately, and then we also have to let Venomous Venom into the race. So the grid will have to be set manually by myself after it, but we will have the qualifying results on standby so we can make sure everybody starts where they're supposed to. Alright, so right now, Whiteout's going to go ahead and start his first flying out. We'll go on board with the American driver. Now this track has so many unique elevation changes. It is such a unique challenge for these drivers here today. Very easy to go wrong here, especially on some of these twistier sections, especially towards the back of Sector 2. And the wind has died down a bit, so the wind won't be as much of a factor today. So we'll go ahead and just keep an eye on Whiteout and all these other drivers. Hopefully we won't have any major incidents. Turn 1 is going to be a talking point. While it's not as notorious as, say, Monza, Interlagos still does have a very, very tricky Turn 1. A lot of elevation changes, and if you carry too much speed, you can go bowling. And as fun as bowling is as a sport, and yes, it is a sport, I found that out the other day, it was pretty funny, but you don't want to really do that in racing, because that could just cause so many problems, a lot of damage. And Whiteout's going to come across the last few corners, and we'll see what his time is going to be. His time, he's got one more corner left. He's going to cross the line, and his time is a 1:14.6. That will be the mile marker that everybody wants to achieve to. We'll go on board with championship rival Gomez, as he's about to go ahead and set his time. What's his time compared to Whiteout's? And it's about a 2 seconds off. It's 2 seconds off, 2.002 seconds off. As we see drivers now sending their times up and down the grid. Yuki's up into P3, Golfboy's up into P4. And that'll be the last of the current drivers who have set times. We'll go on board with J-Mac. J-Mac will go ahead and set himself into 6th place. C-Chan will actually move himself up into P2 as he returns to the pits. Krunder, the other IHR driver, going to go ahead and cross the line. We'll see where he stands. And he is up into P3. And the times are shuffling. Now, Gomez's qualifying hasn't been the greatest here in the last few races. He's going to have to put on a barnstorm of a qualifying if he wants to get close to Whiteout. Whiteout currently on provisional pole position. And he's in a prime spot to take the championship and take the double home for the EXO High Caliber Racing Team. We'll go on board with his teammate Matt. We'll see where he stands. It is a 120.4. He's going to go ahead and sit in P8 at the moment. He's going to reset and have another go at it. We'll go on board with Artur from Red Bull Adidas Racing. And he's got only a few more corners left. He's in Sector 2 at the moment. Still need to see a little bit of variety in delivery with the Red Bull. As Gomez does set an improved time, he'll move up into P2 alongside Whiteout. And the two championship rivals are going to be in the front row together. That is a recipe for chaos, especially if they take each other out in Turn 1. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we have a clean race for the championship to wrap up here at the end. But I do think that it is going to be a very spicy race regardless. Venomous Venom cannot get on track. We'll see if there's anything we can do to fix that. We'll back out a bit. See if there's anything we can do about it. Unfortunately, there is nothing because it is a qualifying session. Unfortunately, the two, Schulte and Venom, will have to start from the back of the grid. It is unfortunate. I cannot let them in. Kind of wish Gran Turismo did allow that, but unfortunately we just don't have that available to us. As Whiteout is on track to set a new fastest lap of this qualifying session. He's going to extend that pole position ever so farther forward as we pop into Twitch chat. Yeah, it's unfortunate, Venom. We can't get you on track. Just one of the unfortunate quirks of Gran Turismo 7. Can't really get any drivers that may have a disconnect back into qualifying. So we will have to cancel the race afterwards, and then there will have to be... It'll take a bit of extra time because we do have a... I will have to set the grid manually just to make sure that you guys get on track, and there's also that one penalty I have to apply anyway. So it is unfortunate, but we'll have to see how you guys do in the feature race. Actually, I think we're going to have 13 drivers, I believe, today. I believe. I'll have to double check that. Or I know Project Zero is going to have 3 drivers, so I know Declan is going to make his Season 7 debut in the final race in Interlagos. I just do not know who he's currently replacing. And I am getting actually a good amount of messages. Let me check and make sure it's still no one trying to get in the lead. We do have 2 Project Zero drivers currently. And now I'm actually being told conflicting information. I've been told that Declan is racing for Project Zero. But I'm also getting reports that he's also an EXO high caliber driver, so I don't know the rule book on that one. I will have to research the rule book. But we might not have Declan in for this race either. We'll see. I will have to get confirmation from Project Zero on who's driving, but yeah, a very interesting situation. He just joined a few of these sessions. He had a pretty solid qualifying last time out when it came to Watkins Glen, but unfortunately he was not one of the registered drivers, so he had to be removed. Although we do have him registered as a EXO high caliber driver, so I do not believe he can. I don't think he's eligible to race for Project Zero, so I will have to get official confirmation on that from Project Zero themselves and a representative of EXO high caliber, so that might take a minute to solve as we go on board with the Japanese driver at the moment. Declan is sitting P3 right now, so he's got a good spot if he were to continue in this race. So very, very curious to see how a lot of stuff will play out. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting day as we're actually down to the last minute of qualifying. Wow, that time went by fast. So we'll go ahead and we'll extend the break a bit. We'll go for a 10-minute break once qualifying wraps up. We'll start at 13:30 while I go ahead and try to figure out what's going on with Declan and Project Zero. I've gotten some reports saying that he is a high caliber driver. I'll just go back to the registration and see where he sits. I don't know if it's in the rulebook, but I am fairly certain that you would have to let someone know ahead of the race before actually just being in the race that there's going to be a substitution in. At least a driver that's already kind of on a different team. But right now, we're going to focus on the last minute of qualifying. We'll come to that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So here we go. The last lap of qualifying for these drivers. Is it going to be Whiteout on pole position? He will set a new fastest time. He will maybe get time for one more lap if he goes ahead. Nope, he's off track. We're going to focus on his championship rival now, Gomez. J-Mac will set a new time. He will be seated into P8. I'm actually going to have to get my phone to take screenshots and make sure I get the qualifying stuff right, because we will have to reset the section. I've gotten more confirmation that Declan's not on Project Zero, so once again, that'll be an issue. I will have to go ahead and get situated before we go ahead and get racing. It's the final lap. Whiteout's done. We only got a few more corners. We'll see if Gomez can go ahead and usurp Whiteout to get P1. Pole position for the last time here in Formula GT Season 7. we'll see how that goes. Gomez does have a few more corners left to go. Go ahead, and he's got the last few corners remaining. We'll see if Gomez can go ahead and get pole position away from Whiteout. This is when it's going to matter most. He's coming across the line. He's got one last corner left. Gomez is chasing down C-Chan, getting a little bit of a slipstream. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. Not going to be enough. It's not going to be improvement for him, and it's not going to be improvement for his position. Wow. Great stuff there. Whiteout will go ahead and take pole position. Declan will go ahead and sit in P2 or P3, C-Chan P4, Crunders P5, B23 and P6, Yuki in P7, J-Mac in P8, Artura in P9, Gothboy in P10, and Matt will be at the back of the grid aside from Venomous Venom and Schultze. Now, because he was last on track, his penalty will actually basically be negated because Venomous Venom and Schultze did not set time, so they will start from the back of the grid based on the order that Gran Turismo decides to let him in at. So we'll go ahead and take a 10-minute break once qualifying is done. I'm going to get everything situated with who's racing for Project Zero and who's not. And we'll go ahead and see who's racing and who's not. But more importantly, we're going to see who takes home the crown in Season 7 for the Drivers' Championship as we let that clock tick down to 0. We'll go ahead and get confirmation from Project Zero if Declan is officially racing for them. And then we'll go ahead and see. We'll just go ahead and see how the rest of this race plays out. We have a very entertaining 32 laps ahead of us, and you are not going to want to miss it as we just patiently wait for the qualifying timer to run out. I believe it's going to run out in the next few seconds. Yep, there it goes. Qualifying is wrapped up. We'll be back in about, we'll say 13:30, so we can make sure we have sufficient time to get everyone situated. And yeah, we'll be back in a bit, everyone. We'll go ahead and pull back up the qualifying results. You got Whiteout, Gomez, Spillane, C-Chan, Crunders, B23, Yuki, and J-Mac, followed by Artura, Gothboy, and Matt. And then we have Venomous Venom, and we have Schultze, the two last drivers who are unable to qualify. But we'll see if some drivers are added in, if some drivers have to depart. We'll see how everything goes out, and we'll be back at 13:30 or about 1:30 EST. I cannot type today. Alright, we'll be back, folks. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. So, the official verdict is in for race control. So, Declan will remain in the lobby. He will have his qualifying position that he had earlier, which was P3. So I'm going to go ahead and get it keyed into my system. And then we'll go ahead and get racing for one last time in Interlagos. It will take me a little bit of time just to go ahead and get this last qualifying stuff keyed in and recorded. We just got around to getting the driver situation squared away. So yeah, soon we'll be underway with actual racing. We do hear some cars currently on track. So with Venomous Venom and Kill Switch, unfortunately, or I think it was Schulte or Kill Switch, one of the two, unfortunately unable to make qualifying, Matt's penalty will basically be negated. Actually, yeah, Kill Switch isn't even in here, so once everybody gets in, we'll go ahead and get started with the race. I believe that's our turret right there. As Gothboy mentioned, we would have to wait for our turret, and no, Schulte's there. So I believe we will actually have a full 14 grid race here today. Possibly. Arturo is actually having connection issues, and that's probably my least favorite thing, is just running into connectivity problems. All right. Alright, so we're actually going to change hosts. We're going to be changing hosts again. I really do apologize, everyone, that we've had quite a few mix-ups here today for the last race of the season. So Artur will go ahead and host a lobby if he is up for it. Otherwise, we'll just have to see how everything else plays out. So sit tight, everyone. We'll try to get this situated as quick as possible. And once again, I really do thank you guys for your patience. Just gonna go ahead and once we figure out who to Alright, so currently they're working on a fix to try to get Artura into this lobby. We'll just have to see how everything plays out. Pixel backed out, so I might assume he's not racing. Just gonna go ahead and try to make sure we have everything situated before we go ahead and get started. So while we've had a few issues with the qualifying session, that we won't have any problems going into the feature race. It's the last race of the season. We need to make sure it goes out on a high note. Intense racing for the championship. Okay, the new lobby is indeed up. Alright, well, that explains it. Alright, don't have to say anything. Alright, we're going to join our tourist lobby once it's up, and then I'll go ahead and send them the qualifying grid, just so he can get everything set up. And then, yeah, we'll be racing with the final race of the season. Alright, just gonna go ahead and wait a few seconds. That lobby is up. Yep, we're just gonna go ahead and get everybody into the lobby. And I am currently trying to join the lobby myself. We'll see if Gran Turismo doesn't have any issues on my end as well. We know Gran Turismo likes to be a little picky sometimes. Alright, well, I am on the loading screen of death. We'll go ahead and give it another shot. See if it connects, otherwise we might have to do another host reset. Yep, that is unfortunate. We might have to do another host reset. I'm gonna cut the stream here for now, and we'll restart the stream once again once we get everybody in and get everything situated. Thank you guys so much for your patience, and we'll be back here shortly. I realize I've been muted this entire time. I do apologize, folks. Wow, that's unfortunate. But we are green here in Interlagos. Whiteout's doing exactly what he needs to go ahead and clinch that championship spot. He is up into P1, started first and stayed ahead. He needs to make sure Gomez does not score 8 points more than Gomez needs to score 8 more points than Whiteout to go ahead and clinch the championship. But as long as Whiteout makes sure that Gomez does not do that, his championship is as good as done. And even finishing in this position, then it's a championship for Whiteout. I believe Whiteout would actually have to finish in the bottom 8. And Gomez will have to win with fastest lap to go ahead and clinch that championship spot. We're going to go look around to see if there's any close battles. Looks like the two Soy Racing drivers and the Deadeye Racing driver, Venomous Venom and B23 and Gothboy are about to have a pretty good scrap here. Coming through Interlagos. We have 32 laps to go on this race. And boy, oh boy, is it going to be a fun one. Whiteout is going to go into the fastest first sector. There was chaos at the start between a few of the drivers, including Yuki, and I believe Kunders was also involved in some turn 1 mayhem. I mean, this track's got such an elevation change that, man, oh man, is it just hectic throughout these first few corners. We'll go ahead and try to get on battle with any really close battles. It looks like the closest battle we got on track is J-Mac and Yuki. Now, these two teams are close in the championship. Only 3 points separate Project Zero and IHR for P4 in the Constructors Championship. P1 in the Constructors Championship was settled a long time ago. I say a long time ago, but it was really only 2 weeks ago at the last round in Watkins Glen. XL High Caliber took the title there, but there's still a shot for IHR to clinch 4th as there's a little bit of contact there between Gothboy and Yuki. And J-Mac is going to go try to make the pass too, but Gothboy just holds that inside line. But yeah, he gets a little squirrel there. I don't know if that was because of contact with J-Mac, but J-Mac moves up a position. He's up at the P7. Venomous Venom, who started at the back of the grid, or near the back of the grid, is currently sitting in P5 right now. And that is an excellent result there from the American driver. Venomous Venom, he has so far finished higher than he's qualified every single race due to a connection problem. He was unable to qualify, but man, he had a good start to this race here at Interlagos. Now, I know Interlagos is a fun track that a lot of people really do enjoy. And honestly, it's providing some really good racing, but right now, Whiteout is just loving this track. He is currently chilling in P1, a 7-second gap to Gomez. And man, oh man, that is exactly what Whiteout needs to do to clinch that championship. Gomez will need Whiteout to mess up catastrophically to go ahead and make sure that he can still clinch this championship. But as of right now, the Deadeye / Karma driver of Venomous Venom he's in a good spot. We'll go ahead and check if there's any other close battles. J-Mac went way off track there, unfortunately. He was close to Yuki, but just off track just really kind of ruined his potential race. And Matt has a half-second penalty. Artur's got a full second penalty. And I think that's the only penalties. This track is a very tough track, but there's a lot of very good overtaking opportunities here. So it's not going to be uncommon to see some of these drivers get penalties. As Venomous Venom, actually we'll check in on the championship rival of Gomez here. He's got a pretty good gap to C-Champ, but he's just losing time out to Whiteout, which might just be his championship hopes and dreams just dwindling down to nothing, unfortunately, for the Mexican driver. Both of these two championship contenders of Gomez and Whiteout have had very, very consistent seasons, and that is why these two are at the top of the table when it comes to the championship standings. Now, C-Champ has a second and a half penalty, so that's going to put B23 up into P3. He's still going to go ahead and make the move on the C-Chain, and Venomous Venom might be looking to go ahead and make a move as well. We'll go ahead and keep an eye on this gaggle of white cars coming through. The whited out cars that we are seeing for today's race. And C-Chan did get a penalty. He's going to slow down, and it's Venomous Venom will move up into P4. C-Chan's also going to make a pass or C-Chan's also going to get passed up by Yuki. Grunders is going to get a little bit closer, but he's still got some ground to cover up. And yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out and see if we see any more battles. It looks like the main battle is going to be between Yuki and C-Chan here right now, because they're the two closest cars on track at the moment. Grunders not close enough to make an overtake attempt, so we're going to go ahead and focus on Yuki and C-Chan here. Now, you do have to use both tire compounds in this race, so I believe a lot of drivers are probably going to start on the medium tire compound just because this track does shoot tires up like bubblegum. And so I do believe it's going to be a medium to soft in this race. I don't think we'll see a lot of refueling because this is a shorter track, unlike Fuji and Monza, which I think Monza was a pretty short track. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and just keep an eye on everything and see how everything goes. Venomous Venom has closed up the gap to B23. The two American drivers are just really giving it their all, and we're going to see two Americans on the podium for potentially one of the first times of the season. Not the first. Venomous Venom is going to go around the outside. We'll go on board with the American driver who had his home race last time out, Watkins Glen, but B23 just positions his car in such a way that it is not easy to overtake. We know B23 has had some very solid defense here in the past, but Venomous Venom has got a point to prove. The American rookie has put on quite a show in the last few races. So we'll see that happens again, but B23 gets a little squirrely. That's going to put Venomous Venom onto a podium position. This will be the first podium in his Formula GT career for Venomous Venom. There's also a good amount of speculation if he's going to also partake in Grand Prestige League, which starts up very soon. And he'll be joining Karma GT next season for Formula GT. If they come onto the grid, he'll be the lead driver there, from what I've heard. So Venomous Venom, this is basically his demo reel. And if things don't work out with him and Karma, I'm sure there will be another team waiting to snatch up this very talented American rookie. One of the few, if the only controller driver on this grid right now. As we see Yuki potentially lining up for a pass, going around the outside. We'll go ahead and keep an eye on the two. The Japanese driver looking for an overtake on the American, but B23 does have that inside line. So overtaking is not going to be easy, but actually C-Chan takes a gap. He's going to send it up the inside, and he's got it. Trying to overtake around the outside here on Interlagos is not great. It's not super easy, but it can be done, but it could lead you wide open to some potential position changes like that. And actually, C-Chan will go ahead and take P4 off of B23's. Yuki gets a little squirrely there in the back. And C-Chan's got a half-second penalty for track limits. B23's going to retake P4. And he's going to go chase down the other American driver, but he goes wide. And this is going to be a good chance for Yuki to potentially get up into P4. Yuki's got one, but C-Chan does hold that advantage. And Yuki and B23 are going wheel to wheel now. It is Canada versus America versus Japan. Kind of sounds like this is like one of the Olympic races, which I'm sure these drivers are more than talented enough to qualify for. But C-Chan is going to lose the position to both B23 and Yuki here with a half-second penalty, and they both go through. But C-Chan is still very close to these drivers to go ahead and make a potential to retake some of those positions. The top three spots are pretty well separated. Venom is actually going ahead and creating a little bit of a gap to B23 behind him. Gomez is going to go ahead, and I mean, he's creating a gap to Roman, but losing out to Whiteout. So that is his championship chances just slipping away. As we take a look a little bit further down the grid, J-Mac might be trying to get into this scuffle for P6 and potentially P4. He's got his teammate right behind him, about 1.7 seconds off. Currently, Whiteout does have the fastest lap set of the race. We'll see if that sticks. I'm sure it will, because we know how talented Whiteout is. We've seen him all season. He's only missed out on like 1 or 2 races. We know how talented the American driver is. The driver is currently on track to take the Drivers' Championship on behalf of the EXO High Caliber squad. And we're going to go ahead and resume the battle between B23, Sichan, and Yuki. Yuki's got that inside line. Yuki's going to go and make the pass, and it's going to stick. But the slipstream coming up into the next corner, coming up to that start-finish straight, is going to be a wild one. Is J-Mac actually going to look for a move? We'll go on board with one of the other American drivers here, one of the IHR cars. Oh, he could have sent it, but at the potential risk of going bowling, he decides to get it. But he's actually going to try to make an attack around the outside. J-Mac, the IHR driver, was potentially looking to make a move onto Yuki. And it is a very, very good move. Good defense there, as we see. I believe that's P23 going a bit wide. He's going to lose a few positions to J-Mac and to Yuki. Seeing a lot of support here for some of these drivers, and that is amazing to see. We love to see that support. The last time we had a mid-season rookie jump into a podium was actually JW for FR Racing on Monza, and man, there's so much action happening on track, almost attraction, which would be a funny combination of 2 words. I'm actually a little bit out of breath from that. That is, we've seen excellent racing here, like I knew we would. I knew we would just have some outstanding drives here from these drivers here, and the final round at Interlagos. Excellent stuff there from these drivers. And B23 is going to be the first driver to pit. He started on the soft tire compound. We'll see. He's probably going to switch to medium, but can he make that medium go all the way to the end? Or is this going to be a 2-stop from the Sohei Racing driver? He's currently P4 in the championship standings. And let me see if it's mathematically possible, because Lucian, who's currently in P3, is not in this race. So he has a potential to even get up to P3 in this championship, which would be a really good result for Sohei Racing, a team that's had a few ups and downs throughout the season. Now, B23 did race in the EXO High Caliber machine for a while Lucian was out with, I believe, his racing sim setup didn't work, or had a break in it, so we'll just have to see how that goes. Whiteout's actually going to fire off into the pits as well. We'll go and do a tire check on everyone. And Gomez is going to come into the pits as well. So Venomous Venom is on the medium tire compound. He's actually going to inherit the race lead for a while, because he's on the medium tire compound. C-Chan's on the medium. It looks like a few of the drivers, J-Mac and Artura, are on the soft tires. Same with Kill Switch. And Matt. Kroner's actually recently pitted in for a set of mediums himself. So, a lot of differing tire strategies here, and actually, Venomous Venom won't quite inherit the race lead. He'll go ahead and saddle up into P2, but he'll certainly drop down a few positions once he makes his pit stop, but his pit stop will be a bit later. So I'm thinking, just with the amount of tire life that he had left, I'm thinking he's going to pit in probably around the 20s, the 20 lap range, maybe a little bit before, like maybe laps. I can't see him pitting in before lap 18, honestly. I do think that lap 18 would be the earliest that Venom would pit, as well as some of these other medium runners, but we'll just have to go ahead and keep an eye out and see how the pit strategies play out, because pace is a good part of the battle, but you really need strategy to make sure that pace is managed in the most optimal way. C-Chan gets another half-second penalty for track limits. This is going to open Yuki up to take the last podium spot on track. Now, these drivers have yet to pit, so they will have to pit, and then they'll fall a bit back behind, probably behind Gomez again. But this has been a very solid race here for actually all these drivers. Whiteout, I mean, he's doing exactly what he needs to. He's putting the hammer down. He wants to clinch this championship. He wants to make sure that this championship is done and dusted, so he can get ready for the Grand Prestige League that starts up in a few weeks' time. So Venomous Venom is going to go ahead, and he's still going to continue running out. We're going to actually shift our focus again to C-Chan and Yuki. J-Mac as well, who's a little bit behind him. This battle is going to happen again. We've seen these drivers battle it out before, even prior to today. And we know that these drivers all are extremely, extremely talented. But, oh, a little bit of Yuki getting a bit square. That's going to allow C-Chan to possibly get a shot off the inside. But Yuki just holds that inside line and puts up a very good defensive drive to go ahead and keep C-Chan behind him. J-Mac is going to go ahead and he's going to keep close. He's going to just eye his chances up for a potential overtake if one of these two ahead of him messes up or gets a penalty. We're going to go on board with C-Chan as he goes side by side with Yuki. He's going to get it. Maybe. He's got it. He's going to retake the position from Yuki. And man, that section of corners is so tricky, but it's one of the better overtaking spots on this track. It's a battle for on-track P3, which I believe is a net P4 or below. And this battling is actually doing a lot of wonders for Venom, who's kind of minding his own business. He's building a very solid gap to the three battling behind him, so he's looking to lock in his first ever podium in only his fourth race of competing. Third or fourth race of competing. That is very intense stuff here on track. We'll check and see if there's any other battles going on. Oh, we're going to go ahead and get into this battle with Artura and Crunders. And that battle might not last. Oh no, it did last. Okay. Although Artura does have a half-second penalty for track limits. The Dutch driver in the Red Bull Adidas machine chasing down the IHR car of Crunders. And we're going to just resume back to this battle between J-Mac, Yuki, and C-Chan. Although C-Chan has fallen a bit away, he did have that penalty to serve. So now it's just between J-Mac and Yuki for on-track P3. I mean, these drivers are just giving it their all. And right now, you got to remember, Project Zero and IHR are the teams battling it out for P4 in the constructors standings. Only 3 points separate these drivers, so there's a lot on the line for IHR and Project Zero. This is the other big championship battle coming into this race. I think this is really the only other championship position that can actually change. At least within the constructors. The constructors championship was sealed off last time out at Watkins Glen, but it's still all to play for P4 in the Constructors Championship. So, but Yuki is building a good amount of a gap. We'll go ahead and actually check in on some overtake meter for a lot of these cars. Yuki has used up a good chunk of his overtake. J-Mac has a little bit more. C-Chan has a lot more than both of them in front of him. Gomez has caught up. He's going to try to burn some overtake to try to burn past these cars. He's going to draft J-Mac, as I believe J-Mac has fired off into the pits. Yes, he has. So he went to lap 15 on those soft tires. Those soft tires must have been begging for mercy. They are probably more cooked than a well-done steak at this point. Venomous Venom hasn't used any, or hardly any of his overtake. Same with Whiteout. But man, and Gomez is on track to set the fastest lap of this Grand Prix. Him and Yuki are battling it out for P3 on track, which will turn into P2 once Venom pits. But Yuki has to pit as well, as J-Mac is going to exit the pits on the medium tire combine. He's going to come just ahead of B23. And once again, we're back to the battle between Yuki and C-Chan, with this time Gomez making a guest appearance. Yuki is putting out a phenomenal drive here today. I don't think people give Yuki enough credit. Yuki right now is a very solid driver, but there's a tap. Oh, there's contact. With Gomez and C-Chan, that puts Yuki a bit off track, but he's going to go in and keep his position. C-Chan does have the half-second penalty. That's going to allow Gomez to swing on by. We'll see if C-Chan goes into the pits. He does not. He's going to stick it out for a few more laps. I believe he was one of the drivers on that medium tire compound, so I think he's going to go to at least lap 18. He's probably going to pit. He's probably going to try to keep an eye on Venom and see when Venom makes his pit stop. Yeah, Venom is honestly, Venom and Whiteout, they're pretty much just in their lane, nourished and unbothered and flourishing right now. Easily the best race of Venom's career inside of Formula GT, and Whiteout just putting on another dominant drive as usual. Gomez finally gets around Yuki on that freshly set tires, but how much time did that burn up for the Mexican driver? I mean, it was already an insurmountable task to try to get him to pass Whiteout at the end of this Grand Prix, but 26 seconds is to get from Gomez to first place. And I think Whiteout has all but clinched this championship. It would take a disconnect to go ahead and seal Gomez the title as it stands at the moment. We're already about halfway done with this race. We'll go on board this time with C-Chan. We'll see. We're going to go on board with the Canadian driver. Still has one of the most awesome helmets I've ever seen. And we're going to see if he's going to go ahead and make an overtake on Yuki. He's a bit too far back, unfortunately. And we know Yuki's been putting up some solid defense here today. But he does get a little squirrely on the exit there. So this rundown to the beginning of Sector 2 is going to lead to a very good overtaking opportunity for C-Chan, but he decides not to take it. He's not going to risk it. He knows there's still another half of this race to go. They're on lap 18 at the moment, so they've passed the halfway mark of this race. And soon we're going to see another round of pit stops for the drivers who went ahead and started on the mediums. I did kind of figure that the medium to soft tire compound would be the more predominant strategy. But some of those drivers on the soft tire compound made it work, such as Whiteout and Gomez. But we know that their pace is by far the best of the grid. There's very few drivers that can actively keep up with these two drivers once they get going. Lucian is one of the only other drivers that I can think of. Which unfortunately we do not have Lucian here today. The race winner from last time out at Interlagos. He put on a valiant drive to secure a 1-2 finish at Watkins Glen to secure the title for XY Caliber Racing. And right now it looks like XY Caliber is going to take all the trophies home. They're going to take all 3 trophies home. Both of the constructors' titles and the driver's title. We'll go ahead and check in on a lot of these other drivers. I got a feeling that it's going to be lap 20 when the drivers pitted. Because, I mean, J-Mac made those soft tires go to lap 15 before he ended up switching to the medium. So I do think that the soft tires will actually have some pretty decent tire life around here, better than I initially thought. But I just wonder how long are these drivers going to push. We'll actually do a tire check. And I mean, oh, that slide is very good indicator. The front rights are cooked. They are grilled like a hibachi steak. And he's going to make his pit stop. Oh, I don't know if that was connectivity. But that might be a 3-second penalty for track limit, or for pit lane penalty. We'll go ahead and see what the American driver does. Although it's undoubtable that he's going to switch to the soft tire compound. Gomez goes back into P2. Yuki's up into P4. He still has yet to pit. But man, he's actually really nursing those tires. So he's going to have a hard charge to potentially seal up a podium here once these other 2 drivers pit. C-Chan, I mean, both these tires are actually really close to each other in terms of tire wear. So I think these drivers have at least another few laps on these medium tire compound, They won't be able to get to the end of the race on this tire compound, but then again, they have to switch to a soft tire compound anyway, or I believe it's like a 1-minute penalty if you don't do the tire change. I think. Somebody can correct me on that if I am wrong, but we'll just have to see how the strategy plays out for Yuki and C-Chan, because they're going to be the 2 cars to watch right now. We'll check and see if there's any other drivers close to a fight. Unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. So we'll go on board. We'll go on board with our current championship leader, as he's about to try to overtake lap traffic. Fronders will have seen the blue flag, although not really a lot of good opportunities just to slide by. And oh, Crunders is actually backing up. Whiteout a bit there, but Crunders does go a bit wide. Whiteout is going to go ahead and make the pass, and Whiteout will pass one of the laps cars, and it's a half-second penalty for track limits from Crunders. And I mean, that's just not really an easy spot of a track to really adhere to the blue flag rules. I mean, not without severely compromising your line, and I think that's what ended up happening to the British driver. But we'll just have to see how it happens there, if it is brought up as an incident report to the stewards. But I think that was just a hard part of the track for anyone to try to get past. There is a car that went round on track. Not sure who it is. Yeah, it was Crunders, or no, Matt maybe? Not sure. One of these drivers did go ahead and get a little score there, a little bit of a spin from the other Mexican driver. Matt is trying to chase down Artur. Maybe that was the driver who spun. I don't know. I saw somebody spin on the map, and there's yellow flags when we were spectating Pixel a few moments ago. We'll go ahead and get on Matt's POV. Go ahead and see if he can make a move onto Arturo. I think he's just a bit too far back to make a move. Going into turn one here on this track, I think you really want to be within 4/10 of a second, but oh, he went super deep off track there. That's not going to help his case any, and that might be a penalty for the Mexican drivers. Arturo goes a bit wide on the exit there as well. Let's see if there's any other battles. I do not see any. So we'll go on board with once Gomez starts another lap, we'll go on board with the current number 2 in the championship, and we'll just do a full onboard track. No commentary, just a full immersive onboard experience with Fernando Gomez as he takes us around this beautiful Interlagos circuit in Sao Paulo, Brazil. This track is honestly on my bucket list of tracks to visit. I really want to at least take my not necessarily race-built Hyundai Veloster around and just rip it to see how fast I could go on this track. But these drivers are absolutely cooking, and now we're going to go on board with Fernando Gomez for his lap. Excellent driving there from Gomez as we finish our onboard tracking experience with him. I got myself hydrated. We'll go ahead and see. There's not really any other battles. The field has spread out quite a bit. But we are on lap 23 of 32. And we are almost... We're about to hit the 10 lap remaining. Actually, we are at 10 laps remaining. The final 10 laps of this Formula GT season. And we are down to 9. There's 9 more laps left of the season, and Whiteout is just storming ahead. Kicking bumper and taking names as he's looking to clinch a driver's championship here in Formula GT. We'll go ahead and do a tire check on Yuki, see where his tires are at. He's managing those tires really good, so I think he's going to come out ahead of... let's see. He'll probably lose out to all the way to about C-Champ, but I do think with fresher soft tire fresher soft tires, I think he can make it work. I think he can make a few spots as we go back on board with the Japanese driver. Venom is closing in a bit, but there's other sections where he just loses out. And I think in that last section, he lost about 3/10 to the Japanese driver. And yep, Yuki is fired off into the pits now. Venomous Venom will go ahead and re-inherit P3 on track. And if he manages to stay out, what's the gap to him and J-Mac? He's got a very solid gap to J-Mac. So Venomous Venom, unless an accident happens, I think he's got a very solid P3 in the bag, which will do numbers for him and Deadeye Racing, being the sole Deadeye Racing driver remaining. Very, very solid stuff there from these drivers. So, and oh, a little bit of Venomous Venom goes wide there. Or no, that's not Venomous Venom. Sorry. That was Matt. These white cars are going to drive me nuts. Sorry about that, y'all. Wrong car. So that was not Venomous Venom going wide. That was Matt, I believe, going wide there. So J-Mac will pass one of the lapped cars. Matt just not having a good race weekend for this race in Interlagos. J-Mac's had a pretty solid start though. He's moved up quite a few positions from his qualifying spot. Venomous Venom definitely has. He started in second to last, but he crawled his way up to P3. That is an astounding start, or an astounding position change for the American rookie. Just getting a little bit of extra hydration. Hydration is important, so be sure to drink water. Water is very important. I know these drivers should be drinking a lot of water. Getting dehydrated absolutely sucks, especially when you're on such a tight and technical track that requires a lot of exertion and a lot of just mental focus. And you can't really have that prime mental focus if you're dehydrated. So be sure to drink water, ladies and gentlemen. It is very, very important. As you see a potential on-track battle here in the next few laps between Yuki and B23. Yuki is on significantly fresher soft tires, so I do think that Yuki and B23 are going to come to blows here quicker than you may think. We're coming down to the last few laps of the season, not just the race. And yeah, wow, I wasn't kidding. Yuki has gained about 5 or 6/10 of a second there as him and B23 go wheel to wheel. We're going to go on board with the Japanese drivers. He tries to pass B23. He's going to go for it. He's going to try to make another move around the outside, but that inside line has been so important. B23 just breaks later, and he's going to hold on to that position for now. But I don't think he's going to be able to hold on to that position for too long, as I think Yuki is going to try to make the pass here. Coming up to the beginning of Sector 2. He's so close. They are not social distancing on this track, and he decides to just wait it out. He's going to get another opportunity, probably on the start-finish straight on the beginning of lap 28. And then at that point, we'll actually be down to the last 5 laps of the season. We'll go on board with some of these other drivers real quick. C-Chan is getting a bit closer there, so we'll see if it's going to be a battle between these three again. I swear, these two are like magnetized to each other with how much they've been battling this race. And man, oh man, is it going to be a closer. And Yuki has pulled off a bit of an advantage now with those, significantly fresher tires going into lap 28. And I think Yuki, with his excellent tire management, has very much all but guaranteed himself P5 in this race. Now, he does have a lot of work to do to catch up to J-Mac, and this has huge championship implications for Project Zero and IHR Racing. huge title implications between those two teams. But Venomous Venom is keeping a very solid gap to J-Max. I don't think J-Max has a shot to get into P3, but this will be a really good result for the IHR driver. As for the foreseeable future, although B23 does go a bit wide there, so that's going to put him right next to C-Chan. We'll go ahead and get on the spectator camera on B23's car. Now, this is not an easy section to overtake on. So that might not stop C-Chan from attempting it. Very tight, very twisty. There's a blue flag behind him. Whiteout must be coming up to them. We'll see where Whiteout is. And yep, that's Whiteout coming up to the battling drivers from Soleil Racing and Project Zero. So, wow, just in like a span of a few laps, or not even a few laps, just a lap in general, Yuki has moved up to P5, and B23 is going to just hold that inside line. That inside, if you have that inside line going into turn 1, you're going to have that corner. It's just so hard to overtake on the outside when it comes to the twists and turns of the first 3 or 4 corners. But I think CJ did have a better exit. He's going to try a shot around the inside. B23 just not giving up any space, no quarter given. But B23 was defending against an outside attack from C-Chan, but they're both gonna have to give way very soon to Whiteout, who's coming up on him, who is currently down to the last 3 laps of his season, the last 2 laps of his championship. C-Chan's gonna get through, but there's a switchback after a little bit of wheel spin from the Canadian driver. B23 will resume P6. But on the start-finish straight, they're both going to have to let Whiteout through with blue flag conditions. Oh, a little bit of a spin there, causing a slight bit of contact between B23 and C-Chan. That's going to give him a good amount of space, and Whiteout passes his Exodus Motorsports brother, one of the other American drivers on the track. And Gomez is on lap 30. Whiteout is about to start one of his last 2 remaining laps, and man, has he dominated this race. This race came down to the wire. Or this season came down to the wire, I should say. This race, on the other hand, not so much. But it has been an excellent season for these drivers. And honestly, I am so glad I've been able to commentate for all of these races. These drivers are ridiculously awesome and ridiculously fast. I give kudos to every single one of these drivers. As we come across what is soon to be the final laps of the season, of season number 7. It has been a wild ride, folks. We have been to so many different amazing tracks throughout this season, and I want to thank all the viewers at home, all the drivers, all the team captains, and all the organizers for putting together what has been, honestly, an absolutely stellar and competitive season here for season number 7 of Formula GT. Now, Venomous Venom is going to come into the pits again. With only 2 laps remaining, that's actually going to forfeit his podium position. So J-Mac is actually going to inherit the podium position. And wow, he's losing a lot of spots. I wonder what happened there. Just not feeling it on the tires, or just fuel? Oh yeah, just tires. He just wasn't feeling the tires on that Deadeye racing machine. So he's going to drop down to P7. He had a podium pretty much bagged if he would have completed 1 last lap. I just do not think that was the right pit decision there for the American driver. And Yuki's actually going to go ahead and take that other podium spot away from J-Mac. Those fresher tires coming in. He's only got a few more corners to go, and then we're going to have a championship decided here in Formula GT Season 7 here at Interlagos. The season finale. Yeah, Gomez is 43 seconds behind. There's no chance that he's going to go ahead and make the overtake happen. He's got about 3 more corners left. Make that 2 more corners. And we're going to go ahead and see as he comes across the line. Your winner of the Brazilian Grand Prix and champion of the world for Season 7, Whiteout wins and takes the championship alongside a stellar drive for the American driver, C-Chan in P5, B23 in P6, Venomous Venom in P7, and then the only other drivers on the lead lap are Gomez, Yuki, and J-Mac. And that is a wrap for Season 7 of Formula GT. The final scores of the season will be out before the end of today. So be sure to stay tuned to check out exactly where everybody finished. But this has been a season. Whiteout wins. Gomez comes home in P2. Yuki's going to come home in P3. And J-Mac will take home P4 as the last two drivers on a lead lap. And that is the end of the season. Once these two cars cross the line, that is Season 7 wrapped up like a present that we all probably got for Christmas. That is the end of the season. Well done to the man that's about to pop up on your screen. Whiteout, Championship of the World. That is excellent stuff there as we go ahead and take a look through the standings. I mean, Whiteout did exactly what he needed, man. Whiteout is P1, followed by Gomez, Yuki, J-Mac, C-Chan, B23, Venomous Venom, Crunders, and then we have Killswitch, Artura, Matt, and Gothboy rounding out our grid. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of Season 7. I have been your host and commentator throughout this season, Patrick Coleman, aka Rekkus, and man, I'm kind of sad to see the season end. We had a lot of intense races. Once again, I want to thank all the drivers and the teams for showing up and making my job extremely easy when it comes to the commentating. Had a lot of close on-track action, amazing races, and overall, I just loved the experience of commentating for Formula GT this season. Stick around for next season though, because I think we have some pretty exciting changes in the works, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much once again, and we'll see you either in the next season or sometime after that. We'll see you guys. Thank you.